Shalom to my brothers and sisters in the body of Yahushua. In the body of Yahushua HaMashiach. Shalom, shalom. And today I bring you another lesson dealing with Yahuwah's calendar. And let me tell you how the Most High works. I was having a conversation with one of my brothers who is in the body of Yahushua. And my brother name is Ron. Some of you know him as Ron Divine. And I thank the Most High that, he came across my path and we was just talking about the calendar, just sharing information from what we both have learned from doing research and studying. But let me tell you how good this result came. Because of him sharing some things with me, he brought something to my attention that I was supposed to do some research on that I forgot about it. You know how you put it in the back of your mind to do. You say you'll get to it later on. So I thank my brother because he was the initiation to bring this word to you. So let's make this lesson short. So the title again is dealing with Yahuwah's calendar, and it's dealing with the 12 signs that the sun enter of the solar year. The 12 signs that the sun enter of the solar year. Now keep in mind the title may change when I upload this video. Now the 12 signs, you probably asking, what is that? Is that in the scripture? Yes, my people, it is in the scripture. But today the Gentile call it the Zodiac. And I have a reference to even prove that Josephus even talk about the Zodiac sign. But first, let me read to you the work of Josephus, because this was something I read in the past. I said, I'm going to do a research on this to understand what do Josephus means when he mentioned this. So let me read it to you. This is in the book of Antiquities, book 3, chapter 10, section 5. And I'm going to read that first line to you that's highlighted. In the month of Xanthicus, and Xanthicus is a bid, my people, which is by us called Nisan, and is the beginning of our year on the 14th day of the lunar month. When the sun is in Aries, for in this month it was that we were delivered from bondage under the Egyptians. So I'm going to stop there. So just to bring you somewhat up to date, to give you the scenery here, we know Passover, which is called the Feast of Unleavened Bread, that we keep for a total of 8 days, starts on Abib 14. Now, when you read the New Testament, you will also learn that Yahushua Mashiach kept Passover at evening, and he was also crucified on Passover, which was Abib 14. And during his crucifixion, that was a darkness that occurred from the 6th hour to the 9th hour. And the 6th hour is at 12 noon, and the 9th hour is at 3 p.m. So they have several hours of darkness. Now that several hours of darkness the several hours of darkness occur because of a total lunar eclipse. And for research, look it up on Wikipedia. You can only have a total lunar eclipse on a full moon day. Okay. And that's with this alignment. The sun is first, then the earth, then the moon, which is a full moon. And remember, you can only have a full moon on the 14th or 15th day of each lunar month. And Passover will usually fall on a full moon day. Also, the Feast of Tabernacles will also fall on a full moon day. And there's one more thing I want to mention. And this is give you a confirmation when do we have the sheep weight offering of the first fruits of the barley. And Josephus give us this information. Okay. And I'm highlighting it here, which is also confirmed in the New Testament, because we know that Yahushua rose on the 3rd day. In the dawn phase, that's when we see the light in the sky before the sunrise. And he arose on the first week, the first day of the week, okay, which is Abib 16th, for he represent what? The first fruits of the resurrection, just like that day was the first fruit of the barley harvest. So not only do the Bible confirm that the sheaf weight offering day is Abib 16th, also Josephus, and also my Wycliffe Bible confirms this as well. So there's other sources out here that will confirm this. But the most important thing, law, is the word of the Most High. So I'm going to read this to you. He said, which is the 16th day of the month, they first partake of the first fruits of the earth. For before that day, they do not touch them. And while they suppose it proper to honor YAHUWAH, for whom they attained this plentiful provision, in the first place they offered the first fruit of their barley, and that in the manner following. Okay. So that's something you can read in your spare time. Will mention this. Josephus would sometimes separate Passover from the feast of unleavened bread. So that's why in this paragraph you see him saying, but on the second day of unleavened bread, okay? But if you read other passages of Josephus, he will let you know that Passover was a part of the feast of unleavened bread, and they do acknowledge Passover or call Passover as the feast of unleavened bread, which the New Testament will confirm this too. They do call Passover plus the days of unleavened bread, they call it as the feast of unleavened bread. So it starts on Abib 14. Okay. That's something you have to do further study on, my people, but it is confirmed in the word as well as the Old Testament, because we also ate unleavened bread with our Passover. Okay. So let's get back on topic. So what sparked my research that I was supposed to do, and thank goodness for my brother because he reminded me I need to do this, was when the sun is in Aries. So I went to the word, my people, to confirm these are one of the things that we are supposed to use to determine when do spring begin, when does summer begin, when does fall begin, and when does winter begin. Now it does line up with first and second equinox, my people. This is how we get the equinox and the solstice. This is why on the equinox day, when the length of daylight is almost equal to the length of night, and on the solstice, this is why either you have daylight longer than night or night longer than daylight. So let me go to the scriptures first so you can understand what I'm telling you. Now, if you can turn with me to Job chapter 38, and we're going to read verses 31 through, let's see here, 31 through 33. Okay. Canst thou bind the sweet influences of Pleiades, or loose the band of Orion? Now we start that first verse. Pleiades and Orion are dealing with planets, which are called stars. Okay. And let's look at the precept for it. For number 31, Pleiades is known as the seven stars. Okay. And you want to write this down for verse 31. And in Hebrew, it is known as Cimah, Cimah, for Pleiades. Now for Orion, Orion is known as Cesil, Cesil, Cesil. So let us go back. Let's read verse 32. Canst thou bring forth Mazzaroth in his season, or canst thou guide Arcturus with his sons? So let's look at that precept, so we know what Mazzaroth is. Mazzaroth stands for the 12 signs. So in layman terms today, my people, Mazzaroth is dealing with the 12 zodiac signs. And then the other precept for God, Arcturus, with his sons, that means in Hebrew, another way of saying that, God them. So let's go back. So now looking at this word here, we know we are supposed to follow the tropical year zodiac sign. And you will understand why. Because that's dealing with the sun's circuit, which I will elaborate more on. When we follow these 12 zodiac signs, it will let us know what season we are in. Again, it will identify spring, summer, fall, winter. So Aries is the zodiac sign that the sun would enter into when spring occurs. And the sun would stay in that zodiac sign for 3 months. So for the solar year, they don't have names for the solar year month, but that would include the first month, the second month, and the third month. So when we have the vernal equinox on that day, that's why it's the last day of the 12th month of the solar year. It is the last day of winter, and it's the day where we have equal lengths of daylight to sunlight. Equal lengths of night to sunlight. Okay? And let me read verse 33. Knowest thou the ordinance of heaven? Canst thou set the dominion thereof in the earth? So only the Most High know how all these things work. So now we got some confirmation that we are to follow the tropical year, which is the solar year, 12 signs, which the Gentiles call today Zodiac. Now, keep in mind, this is not astrology. Astrology is dealing with them following the heavens to predict the future or to perform the duties like a medium, to foretell things. This is where your horoscopes come from astrology. I'm talking about astronomy. That's dealing with the science. And you know the word science is mentioned in the Bible. So basically you're trying to gain understanding of the most high knowledge and wisdom. So that's what we're doing here, my people. Again, he gave the heavens to be what? For seasons. So this is the purpose of the solar year, to let us know what season we are in by following the sun when it enters the 12 signs. Okay? Let's go to another scripture, the book of Job, because that's another precept to look at. The book of Job, chapter 9, verse 9, which maketh Arcturus, Orion, and Pleiades, and the chambers of the south. So let's look at what precepts are meaning. So that verse has a precept to Amos chapter 5, verse 8, which we will read. Also to Job chapter 38, verse 31 of what we just read. So now it's giving you the Hebrew words for the following. So you want to write this down. Now, Ash is for Arcturus. And another way to spell it you may see on the internet is Ayish. But for the most part, I have seen it as ASH or Arcturus. And you can find that star in the constellation of the Great Bear, which is also known as the Big Dipper, which is also known as Ursa Major, Ursa. Now for the next word, Cesil. Cesil is another word for Orion, okay? And Orion will fall in the ninth month from doing my research, the ninth Hebrew month. And also, let me see here. Yeah, it'll fall close to the ninth Hebrew month, my people, which is usually around November to December, okay? And another word for the ninth month is Kislev, Kislev, or Casleu. All right. So you want to write that down. And then another word for, let me see here. Pleiades, which is the 7 stars, is Cimah, Cimah. Another way to spell it is Kimah. And then, even though you cannot see this word anymore, Mazzaroth, Mazzaroth, means the 12 signs, or in today's layman term, the 12 Zodiac signs or 12 constellations. Okay. Also, I was looking up the South Chambers, and the South Chambers today can be called Canopus, which means the Southern Cross, and a centaur, Centaur. Okay. So now this is one of the verses to prove that we are supposed to use the 12 constellations that has been ordained by the Most High. Now I'm going to let you know the vernal equinox we are following today, which can be found on timeanddate.com, is based off of this, my people, and I have the proof. The vernal equinox is when the sun enters Aries, is the first point of Aries. So that's what the vernal equinox means, or what it stands for. The vernal equinox stands for the first point of Aries. So in other words, that's when the sun enters Aries. Okay. So let me go to Amos chapter 5, verse 8. Seek him that maketh the 7 stars and Orion. So we know the 7 stars is Pleiades, Pleiades, and forgive my tongue if I mispronounce that word. And Orion, another word to stand for Orion is Cesil, Cesil. Seek him that maketh the 7 stars and Orion, and turneth the shadow for death into the morning, and maketh the day dark with night, that calleth for the waters of the sea, and poureth them out upon the face of the earth. YAHUWAH is his name. So let's also look at what things that can be precepts to that verse. So the precept to that verse is Job chapter 9, verse 9, and chapter 38, verse 31, and also with the book of Amos, chapter 9, verse 6. So let us go to Amos chapter 9, verse 6 too, and take a look at that. And just see what it says. It is he that buildeth his stories in the heaven, and hath found his troop in the earth. He that calleth for the waters of the sea, and poured them out upon the face of the earth. YAHUWAH is his name. All right. So let's get some concrete evidence and some understanding to prove to you we are supposed to use the 12 constellations, which are called the 12 zodiac signs, to help us determine when the seasons begin and end of the solar year. Okay. I'm taking you to Wikipedia.org. And they have a chart for the year of 2011. And it's a comparison chart to show you why I follow the tropical year and not the sidereal date. And keep in mind, also Walter Berg over here followed the sidereal date. And what that basically means is that they go by the Earth circuit, or the Earth orbit around the sun. The tropical date goes by the sun orbit, or the sun circuit around the earth. Again, this is relating to scriptures, which I will prove to you is in the Bible, that we are supposed to follow the sun circuit, and which has been also verified in the book of Job and Amos. So let's look at Aries right here. Now, if you follow the tropical year, which is the solar year, looking at the sun circuit, Your equinox, your vernal equinox will fall on March the 21st to April the 20th in the year of 2011. Okay? Let me also read this top line because then you can understand why there's a difference between the sidereal date by Cyril Fagan and why there's a difference with based on IAU boundaries by Walter Berg. Okay? The dates the sun passes through the 13th astronomical constellation of the ecliptic are listed below, accurate to the year 2011. The dates will progress by an increment of 1 day every 70.5 years. The corresponding tropic and sidereal dates are given as well. So this is why for those who follow the sidereal date, even the one over here, or the IAU boundaries, this is why you will have 13 constellations and not 12. In another tab, I'm going to show you why this is important. This is why you have your equinox to start in Pisces, which is down here, and not in Aries. And I'm going to show you that in another tab. But right here, take this time now to pause the screen so you can see and compare the difference between the sidereal date and the AA and the IAU to the tropical date, which is the actual circuit of the sun. This is why we will only have 12 constellations and not 13. This is very important for when you're trying to figure out when each month begins and end of the solar year, and when does each seasons begin and end. Let's go to the next tab. So I went to earthsky.org to give you an example of 2015 of you actually having, following the tropic year, Zodiac constellations, okay? So this is the difference when you follow the tropic Zodiac constellation year. And they put these degrees because it's like a circle. Remember, it's dealing with the sun's circuit, which goes around, okay? So for us, springtime begins in Aries. That's when the sun enters Aries. So in March 2015, the vernal equinox was on March the 20th. Now, these dates are based on Eastern Standard Time in America. So you will have to go to another website to confirm the actual time for Israel to make sure you have it on the correct day of your Hebrew calendar, because that will affect it. So for 2015, if you go to timeanddate.com, they do list the vernal equinox. And for Israel, it fell on the 21st. But for us in America, it fell on March 20th. Okay? So when you see 0, that's when the solar year is entering a new season. Those who study first and second equinox, you will know this is when your equinox occur, where you have equal length of time for daylight and night, which is darkness, okay? This represents the last day of winter and the last day of the 12th month of the solar year. And you may want to pause the screen to look this over. For the second month of the solar year will start after the sun enter Pisces constellation. I'm sorry, I read the wrong thing. The second month of the solar year of 2015 will start after the sun enter Taurus constellation. Okay. I also want to mention that in Taurus, you will find Pleiades within that constellation. Pleiades. All right. That's dealing with the sun entering its second month. Okay. So when you read first Enoch, it'll give you the last day of each month. And by knowing the last day of each month, you are able to count the number of days for each month and figure out the total number of days for each season. Okay. Also in 2015, on May the 21st, the sun entered the Gemini constellation at 60 degrees, because these are all increments of 30 degrees. And that is when the sun is about to enter its third month of the solar year. So the day that followed behind this will be the beginning of the third month. Don't you see how this is wonderful and helpful now? Now we can actually track the solar year more accurately and correctly and compare what we observe in the heavens to these websites we're going to make sure they give us accurate information. This is very important. Now I want to show you a comparison of when you are not following the tropical year. Those who are not following the tropical year, you see, your date for spring will be different from our date. Let me go back to the other one. In March 2015, our spring date start on March the 20th. And this is based on Eastern Standard Time. But for you, because you're not following the correct 12 signs or the correct 12 constellation year by looking at the tropical year, you're looking at sidereal. Your spring date, your equinox will fall on March the 11th, 2011. And that's how you end up in Pisces. Did you see why you have to make sure you have the right year or the right astronomical chart you are following? If you don't, you're going to be off. You're not going to be aligned with everyone else. You're going to be following something totally different. And then it's going to lead you into 13 constellation instead of 12 constellation as the Most High ordained. And then you would not be following the sun circuit. Instead, you'd be following the earth circuit. All right. So take this time now. You can pause the screen to compare the two. Okay. Now, let's see here. Let me take this out. Now, this is for the year 2016. Again, this date is based off of Eastern Standard Time. So you have to be able to find another website that would give you more specific information so you know what day and time that the sun entered Aries in Israel. However, you know your sister. I did some research and I got my information. So time and date, we have the vernal equinox and the solstice for you, as well as the fall equinox for you, based off of the tropical zodiac year. That so far they are following the correct thing. So for this year, our vernal equinox fell on March the 20th. That's for America. And for Israel, it also fell on March 20th. Now the sun entered Aries constellation at 6:30 a.m. Israel Standard Time. So now again, you see why it's so important to understand why you must know the day and the time the sun enter the 12 constellations, because it's going to determine what day it falls on your Hebrew calendar. And for those who have been watching my videos, I have a picture of my Hebrew calendar. Matter of fact, let me just go ahead and I tell you what, in another video, I'm going to do a separate video to show you how that fell. So there will be a part 2 to this video. And also in future videos, we're going to discuss how to spot these constellations so we know we are in the correct season and the correct month for the solar year. Okay. So for your information, the sun entered Aries on March the 20th, both for America and Israel. And it's at 0 degrees, because this is like this dealing with a circuit, and a circuit is what, 360 degrees. So it begins at 0 degrees and it's going to come all the way around and then ending. So at 0 degrees, it comes back all around to 0 degrees, make a total of 360. That means make a total circuit. So the second month of the solar year will begin after like April 19th. Again, just remember these dates are based off of Eastern Standard Time. You will have to do further research to get the date and time for Israel. Okay. So the second month will come after April 19th when the sun entered Taurus. The third month will come after May the 20th when the sun entered Gemini. So you see how this going? So according to my research of what I got so far for the solar year, the spring season was 93 days. So because I had the dates and specific times when the sun entered each constellation for the first, second, and third month of the solar year, this is what I got. For the first month of the sun, from 2016 through 2017, I got 30 days. The actual time of that is 30 days and 12 hours. For the second month, I got a total of 31 days, but the actual time of that is 30 days, 23 hours and 47 minutes. And then for the third month of the solar month, for the spring season, I got a total of 32 days. And the actual time of that is 31 days, 23 hours, and 47 minutes. Okay? And I will be doing another video so you can see how this fell on the calendar from, on your lunar calendar. So you can see how this fall on. I'm sorry, I'm repeating myself. I will be doing another video to show you how the solar year fell on the lunar calendar so you can compare. And so you can understand why it's important to follow the tropical zodiac year and not the sidereal zodiac year. Also, when you go to the Bible to prove that I'm telling you about to follow the sun circuit, look up this word, Tekafah, and make sure I pronounce it correct. I'm going to let it sound.
Strong's H8622, Tekufah. Tekufah.
So that basically means in, circuit, or come about, coming round, circuit of time or space, a turning, circuit, or at the circuit. So when you go down further to find what verses you will find this word is in, guess what? Exodus chapter 34, verse 22. But thou shalt observe the feast of weeks, of the first fruits of the wheat harvest, and the feast of ingathering at the year's end. Now, the feast of ingathering at the year's end is talking about what? The feast of tabernacles, because that's when the sun comes to its end of its circuit. Okay, so you will see that word in Hebrew, tekafah. Also, you will see it in 1 Samuel chapter 1, verse 20. Also, 2 Chronicles, verse 24 to 23. But the one I want to read to you is in Psalms chapter 19, verse 6. And it says, his going forth is from the end of heaven, and his circuit until the ends of it. And there is nothing hid from the heat thereof. So, matter of fact, let me go to that chapter, because it's a little more, I know it's a little more to it. All right. And make sure I'm not missing anything. Okay, so that was just it. Psalms chapter 19, verse 6. His going forth is from the end of the heaven, and his circuit until the end of it. And there is nothing hid from the heat thereof. So again, you want to look at the sun circuit. You don't want to look at the orb. You don't want to look at the Earth's orbit. Okay? When following the 12 constellation, we're not to follow the 13 constellation, and that only occurs in the sidereal constellation. Those who following that of the IAU. So I hope this lesson helps you with your understanding of Yahuwah's calendar, and that will be a part 2 where I can actually show you my calendar where you can follow more clearly about these dates and time that the sun enter Aries, because Aries is the constellation to let us know that we are in spring. And maybe mention this last thing here. So we know Aries is the constellation that lets us know that we are in spring. Cancer is the constellation to let us know that we are in summer. Libra is the constellation to let us know we are in fall. And Capricorn is the constellation to let us know we are in winter. So again, you will see why this is important to know. And again, this is based on the sun circuit and when the sun enter those constellations. So again, I thank YAHUWAH for bringing this to my attention so I can share this with you, my brothers and sisters, in the body of Yahushua HaMashiach, and continue to seek our Father on understanding his calendar, because remember, all these things can be witnessed and observed in the heavens from earth, okay? And I love you, and y'all have a blessed and wonderful day. Shalom.